I think God heard the cries from these children and from these families. Somehow God involved us in that by our getting involved with foster care through adoption.
We were interested in adopting. We had one little girl of our own who was 3 years old and very precocious, and she wanted a sister. And the county said, no, you are too old to adopt. Earlier on, we decided to become foster parents if we couldn't adopt. So we got a delightful little girl who came to us with her 15-year-old mother. One day, she said, you have the kind of family I always wished that I had. Would you adopt Alicia? We were delighted to adopt her, and our 3-year-old was delighted to have her for a sister. We had another foster child that was just a little bit younger than our youngest one. It was very difficult, and that little girl did go home to live with her mother. And I told Mark, the work that we've been doing with these 2 children is the most important work we'll probably ever do with our lives, but I can't do it anymore. I'm just worn out. And I really was, because there was no respite care. The only way you could go anywhere was if you could find another foster parent who was licensed to babysit for you. So it was really 24/7. You were just constantly bombarded with a child that's hurting and needs help. I kept thinking, what could I do that could help foster children? We went out to talk to pastors about what we were going to do. We were just asking them for 5 minutes time behind the pulpit so that we could stand up and just say, are there any of you here who feel like God might be calling you to a ministry like this? And if you don't think you could do it, could you possibly help support a foster parent who could do it? We found 10 volunteers and 1 foster parent. It's very discouraging. And we started out with the respite care. And even though it started very slowly, it began to roll. And in the 2nd and 3rd year, we began to have some real families doing some real work.
The concept we had was, let's show these children Christ's love. And so the families we were recruiting were Christian families. We're doing it because they cared about children. The difference between our foster parents and the regular county foster parents was kind of like raising the standard for the county. And they told us that our foster families lasted 4 times longer than the normal ones. It was just showing them love, and it's in the Bible, take care of the widows and orphans.
One of the things that we learned was that we didn't know enough about what trauma does to a child and why the behaviors that we were witnessing in our homes were the way they were. We started having wonderful parenting classes. All foster parents were invited, and they were invited to be part of our support groups. Once they committed to taking in a foster child, we wanted to see it to the end so that the child didn't have additional trauma from moving. We also said, if the child's not able to go back to the biological family, we hope that you will consider adoption.
Our goal is to live Christ around them, and maybe they'll see a better way in their life. It's not easy, but Christ didn't ask you to just walk the easy road. That's where the future is just walk the walk and talk the talk. I don't know how else to face the future. Our ministry is called Help One Child. We were not trying to solve the government's problem, but we can solve one child maybe. We're not giving up on these children. So the durability of Help One Child is in God's hands. Never give up. Never give up. So maybe that's what we should encourage for Help One Child. Never give up. Never give up.